You know, that one of the interesting phenomena of the last few years has been the toy game hybrid with Skylanders and Disney Infinity, Lego, and although Disney Infinity, they just announced they're killing it, I guess they weren't able to make it work, but it seemed like I like the concept of building a universe where you can sell play sets of different characters interact. Maybe it's just that you didn't carry it off well enough, but that seemed like a very logical kind of thing for a company that has all these wonderful brands. What do you guys think about that Disney Infinity thing? Is that just on them, or does that say something about the market for kids games in general?
It's going to be fascinating to see what the others in the same space do now, just because everyone seems incredibly surprised that Disney dropped Infinity. One of the things I loved best about it was appealing to kids' natural interest in crossing brands, letting you play in two different movies by combining the characters, which is something kids do anyways. They take a doll from one thing and set up a game with a doll from another. In the kids space, there's some really interesting work being done with app toy combinations as well. I don't know if you know the company Tiggly, but Tiggly has little toys that go onto the tablet and actually help trigger actions within it, and they've been very successful, and they're now starting to have people approach them to license as well. They're working with Sesame Workshop, so I think the toys to life app toy combination, whatever you call it, is going to be very big going forward.
Your own custom plush toy, and then using the app, place the order for the toy with the factory and have the factory ship a personalized toy directly to them for under $20. So it was a real disruptive, application in the toy industry, because now I'm getting a one-off toy at a price point that's comparable to what I would pay for it, in a store. The issue with the Disney or Skylanders model is that there's a friction with the interaction point between the physical good and the digital environment. And there are technologies that are nascent that will allow us to push past that pain point. So there's two in particular that I would focus your attention on. So one is this concept of electronic ink. And so this is an ink model where conductive ink. And so you can literally print a pattern on various subjects, like a trading card. And that pattern can represent a multi-touch pattern on a physical touchscreen device. So when you put the card on the screen, the ink pattern creates like a finger pattern that's uniquely spaced, and that pattern can then be recognized by the software. And so you can play Magic, or you can imagine various types of games where a card can be put on the screen, and it becomes an interaction point, frictionless, because the user's just touching it to display. There's no complication, there's no setup, there's no technology requirements other than physically touching the card to the screen. The other is, we see a big advance with low-power Bluetooth devices. So now, with the low-power Bluetooth, we have the ability to allow the relationship between the physical object and your device to be measured, and you can start to create awareness. I don't know if the toy you're referring to uses that, but there are others that do that. The last big area is camera imaging. So, we see the ability for the camera on a device to become more and more intelligent about how it processes the image. And so that becomes also frictionless user interaction, especially when you have front-facing cameras on a device, because now the user can hold an object up above a tablet and have the camera pick up that object, and then the tablet becomes an interaction point, based on that. So now you can physically bring a toy into the space of where the camera can work. And really the imaging problem is recognizing depth, right? We have a 2D camera trying to figure out what 3D space looks like. It's a software problem. And so you can solve it, with hardware, but then you need, again, a physical device that costs $80 so that you can pick up with, two cameras, three-dimensional space.
Intel showed their RealSense 3D camera, which is hardly more expensive than a regular camera.
Right.
That spaces basically two cameras in a module that can be put into a smartphone.
Right.
Which is what Google's doing with Project Tango. And I think LG just announced, or they're going to be coming out with a Project Tango phone, which essentially can look around the environment and go, oh, okay, there's a person there, a person there, a person there, a person there. It'll put all the objects in, which it would work really well on a tabletop if I have my little fingers on it. Put my phone there, and it would know where they all are. And Jen moves hers, and it can detect that. I mean, there's a lot of
But it becomes more interesting than that, because imagine if I took my phone out of my pocket and I'm in my room, right? I'm a child, I'm in my bedroom in my house, and I want to turn my bedroom into an interactive game space. So I want to sit and just do this and scan my bedroom. And now the actual objects in my bedroom have become 3D models in my game and becomes an interactive play space. And now I can layer on top of that, whether it's with again, a camera and an AR type of experience, or just a digital experience that I proactively built. I can build a game environment that's unique, and then, this is sort of like matching Minecraft, and that kind of unique creative thing. Everybody's bedroom's different, and so now this is my game space. And I can rearrange my bedroom and scan it again, and now it becomes a different game space. So now the real world becomes an interactive element in your game, and that to me is really where we're moving towards.
You can build a fort in your game out of the cushions.
Exactly.
Well, and I think one of the interesting potentials for augmented reality, and for exactly what you're talking about, is letting kids create games that they tag in different places, that become location-based. So you could create a game that someone who comes by with a smartphone could detect that it was there and become a player because you've left it behind.
Is that what Pokemon Go is about? It's Pokemon Go.
Right. Well, it's Ingress. The Antic Labs, which is a company that created Ingress, which I actually play around here when I came here today. Pokemon Go is the same idea, taking real-world locations and turning it into an interactive game space. It's interesting. The Ingress project was a Google project to get crowdsourced identification of local landmarks. And so the idea behind the game was that people would go to a local landmark and they would actually tag it. Here's a plaque to Bob Smith on a bench in this nice little park. And that became an interactive portal in the game. You would go to the portal and you would capture the portal and defend it against other people, and it's basically a two-team model. And Pokemon Go is going to be very similar to the next generation of that, and it's actually in testing now in Japan.
I think that's going to be very real.
And that's a good example of matching brand, to an interactive crowdsourced game space.